Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. We continue our reading, book Bhagavad-Gita as it is, book written by His Glorious Sachai Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And today we will read chapter 4, verse 16, 17, 18. Next start. Let's start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kim karma kim akarmiti kavyayo pu arta atra mohitah tatte karma pravakshyami yajnatva moksha se subhat. Translation. And the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Purport. Action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accord with the examples of previous bona fide devotees. This is recommended in the 15th verse. Why such action should not be independent will be explained in the next to follow. In the next text to follow. To act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons who are in a line of disciplic succession, and as explained in the beginning of this chapter. The system of Krishna consciousness has first narrated to the Sun God. The Sun God explained it to his son Manu. Manu explained it to his son Ikshvaku, and the system is current on this earth, each from that very remote time. Therefore, one has to follow in the footsteps of previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent man will be bewildered regarding the standard actions of Krishna consciousness. For this reason, the Lord dedicated to instruct Arjuna in Krishna consciousness directly. Because of the direct instruction of the Lord to Arjuna, anyone who follows in the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. It is said that one cannot ascertain the ways of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. Actually, the principles of religion can only be laid down by the Lord Himself. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Bhagavatam 6:3-18. No one can manufacture religious principles by imperfect su- su- speculation. By imperfect speculation. One must follow in the footsteps of great authorities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, the Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlada, Bhishma, Shukadeva Goswami, Nimaraja, Janaka, and Bali Maharaja. By mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self-realization. Therefore, out of causeless mercy to his devotees, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence. Next verse. Karmana hi api bodhavyam cha vikarmanah karmanascha bodhavyam dahana karmanogatihi. Translation. I think that today we will read 9. We will read 9 verses because we less our video and our reading on the 3 days, 3 Saturdays, 3 days of Saturday, and today we'll read 9 verse, no 3 9, because this is second verse, and we will continue our video till to 9 till 9 till to 9 verse. Okay, we continue our reading. Sorry. Verse 17 and translation of verse. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. the intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is and forbidden action is and what inaction is. Forbidden action is and what is inaction and what inaction is. Purport. If one is serious about liberation from material bondage, one has to understand the distinct distinctions between action, inaction, and unauthorized action. One has to apply oneself to such an analysis of action, reaction, and per perverted actions because it is a very difficult subject matter. To understand Krishna consciousness and action according to this modus, one has to learn one's relationship with the Supreme. It means one who has led it perfectly knows what every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad-Gita is direct towards this conclusion. Any other conclusions against this consciousness and is its attendant actions, requirements, or prohibited actions. To understand all this, one has to associate. To understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Otherwise, even the most intelligent persons will be bewildered. Next verse. Karmanya karmayah pasyed karmani chakarmayah sabuddhimam mano shishu sayukta Krishna karmakrit. Sayukta Krishna karmakrit. Translation. One who sees inaction, and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, also engaged in all sorts of activities. Purport. A person acting in Krishna consciousness is naturally free from the bonds of karma. His activities are all performed for Krishna. Therefore, he does not enjoy or suffer any of the effects of work. Consequently, he is intelligent in human society, even though he is engaged in all sorts of activities for Krishna. A karma means without reaction of work. The impersonalists cases fruitive activities out of fear, so that the result action any not be a stumbling block on the part of self-realization. But the personalist knows rightly his position as the eternal searcher of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he engaged himself in the activities in Krishna consciousness. Because everything is done for Krishna, he enjoys only transcendental happiness in the discharge of his service. Those who are engaged in this process are known to be without desire for personal sense gratification. The senses of eternal searchership to Krishna makes one immune, immune to all sorts of reactionary, reactionary turn element. All to all sorts of reactionary elements of work. Yeah. And next verse. So on the previous verse, we understand that if we do everything for the Lord, we become free from reaction of our work. It's a great news. It's very nice. It's wonderful. So next verse. Asya sarve sama rambha Asya sarve samarabha Asya sarve samarambha Kama sankalpa vachitah Jnanagnidha karmanam tam ahum panditam buddha. Translation. One is understood to be in full knowledge, thus every endeavor endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sage to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of effective knowledge. One is understood to be in full knowledge, Thus, every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sage to be a rocket for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Very important verse. Purport. Only a person in full knowledge can understand the activities of person in Krishna consciousness. Understand the activities of a person in Krishna consciousness, because a person in Krishna consciousness is devoid of all kinds of sense gratificatory, of all kind of sense gratificatory propensities. It is to be understood that he had burned up the reactions of his work by perfect knowledge of his constitutional position as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is actually learned who has attained to such perfection of knowledge. Development of this knowledge of eternal servitorship to the Lord is compared to fire. Such a fire once kindled can burn up all kinds of reactions to work. J. Next work. Next verse. Verse 20. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya tripto nirashrayah karmani abhipravrito pi naiva kinchit karoti sa. Translation. Abandoning all attachment to the results of these activities, never satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. Abandoning all attachment to the results of these activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. Purport. This freedom from the bondage of actions is possible only in Krishna consciousness, and once is doing everything for Krishna. A Krishna consciousness person acts out of pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he has no action for the results of the action. He is not even attached to this personal maintenance, for everything is left to Krishna. Nor is he anxious to ser- secure things, nor to protect things already in his possession. He does uh, he does his duty to the best of his ability and leaves everything to Krishna. Such an unattached person is always free from the result, resultant reactions of good and bad. It is as though he were not doing everything. This is the thing of akarma, or actions without fruit of reactions. Any other actions, therefore devoid of Krishna consciousness, is binding upon the worker, and that is the real aspect of karma as explained herein before. Next verse. Vinasir yata chittatma tyakta sarva parigrahah shariram kevalam karma kurvam napnoche bisham. Translation. Such a man is understanding acts which mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possession, possessions, and acts only for the bare necessary necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions. Purport. A Krishna consciousness person does not expect good or bad results in his activities. His mind and intelligence are fully controlled. He knows that because he is a part and parcel of the Supreme, the part played by him as a part and parcel for the whole is not his own activity but is only being done through him by the Supreme. When the hand moves, it does not move out of its own accord, but by the bearer of the whole body. A Krishna consciousness person is always dovetailed with the supreme desire, for he has no desire for personal sense gratification. He moves exactly like a part of a machine. As a machine part required oiling and cleaning for maintenance, so a Krishna consciousness man maintains himself by his work just to remain fit for action of the transcendental loving service of the Lord. He is therefore immune to all the reactions of his en- endeavor, endeavors. Like an animal, he has no pro- proprietorship even over his own body. A cruel proprietor of an animal sometimes kills the animals in his possession, yet the animals does not protests protest, nor does it have any real independence. A Krishna consciousness person fully engaged in self-realization has very little time to falsely possess any material object. For maintaining body and soul, he does not require unfair means of accumulating money. He does not, therefore, become contaminated by such material things. He is free from all reactions to these actions. Next verse. Yadrichhalabha santushto dvachito vimatsarah samah siddhav asidhau cha kritvapina nibadhyate. Translation. He who is satisfied which gain which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, also performing actions. Purport. Krishna consciousness person does not make much endeavor even to maintain his body. He is satisfied with gains which are obtained of their own accord, or of their own accord. He neither begs or borrows, but he labors honestly as far as is in his power, and is satisfied with whatever is obtained by his own honest labor. He is therefore independent in this livelihood. lively, livelihood. He does not allow anyone's source to hamper his own source in Krishna consciousness. However, for the service of the Lord, he can participate in any kind of actions without being disturbed by the duality of the material world. The duality of the material world is left in, is in terms of heart, um, is left in terms of feed or cold or misery and happiness. A Krishna consciousness person is above duality because he does not hesitate to act in any ways for the satisfaction of Krishna. Therefore, he is steady both in success and in failure. These things are visible and visible when one is fully in transcendental knowledge. Next verse. Gada sangasya muktasya jnanavasthita chetasah yajna yacharatah karma samabram praviliyate. Translation. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. The work of man who is attached to modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. Purport: becoming fully Krishna consciousness, one is freed from all dualities and thus is free from the contaminations of the material modes. He can become liberated because he knows this constitutional position in relationship with Krishna, and thus his mind cannot be drawn from Krishna consciousness. Consequently, whatever he does for Krishna, who is the primal Vishnu. Therefore, Therefore, all these works are technically satisfied because satisfy and arms and satisfy the Supreme Person Vishnu Krishna. The resultant reactions to all such work certainly merge into transcendence, and one does not suffer material effects. And next verse, last for today. Brahma Panam Brahma Lahir Brahma No Brahma Hutam Brahma Brahmamaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhi Nam. Translation. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution of spiritual activities in which the consummation is absolute, and what which is offered is on the same spiritual nature. Purport. How activities in Krishna consciousness can lead one ultimately to the spiritual goal is described here. The various activities in Krishna consciousness and all of them will be described in the following verses. But for the present, just the principle of Krishna consciousness is described. A conditioned soul entangled in material contamination is sure to act in the material atmosphere, and yet he has to get out of such an environment. The process by which the conditioned soul can get out of the material atmosphere in Krishna consciousness. For example, a patient who is suffering from a disorder of the bowels due to overindulgence in milk product is cured by another milk product, namely curds. The materially absorbed conditioned soul can be cured by Krishna consciousness as set forth here in the Gita. This process is generally known as yajna. All activities satisfy simply meant for the satisfaction of Vishnu or Krishna. The more the activities of the material world are performed in Krishna consciousness or Vishnu only, the more the atmosphere becomes spiritualized by completely absorb, absorb, absorption. The word Brahman means spiritual. The Lord is spiritual, and the rise of his transcendental body are called Brahma Jyoti, the spiritual effulgence. Effulgence. Everything that exists is situated in that Brahma Jyoti. But when the Jyoti is covered by illusion, Maya, or sense gratification, it is called material. This material veil can be removed at once Krishna consciousness. That thus the offering for the sake of Krishna consciousness, the consuming agent of such an offering of contribution, the process of consumption, consumption, the contributor, and the result are. Sorry. All combined together, Brahma or the absolute trust. The absolute trust covered by Maya is called matter. Matter detailed for the cause of the absolute trust regain this spiritual quality. Krishna consciousness is the process of converting the illusory consciousness into Brahman or the Supreme. When the mind is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, it is said to be in samadhi or trance. Anything done in such transcendental consciousness is called yajna or sacrifice for the absolute. In that condition of spiritual consciousness, the contributor, the contribution, the consumption, the performer or leader of the performance, and the result of ultimate gain, everything becomes one in the absolute, the supreme Brahman. What is the that is the method of Krishna consciousness. So on these verses we read about next things. We have to doing our prescribed duties, our different activities, but how we have to do this? We have to do this for pleasure, for Krishna's pleasure, for pleasure to the Lord, pleasure of the Lord. We do this we do this for satisfy the Lord. And when we do this, our different activities without for attached to fruitive active results of our actions, activities. We become free from karma. We become free from laws of material world. So if we want to become free and happy, we have to do everything that we do for satisfy the Lord, for His pleasure. How we can do this? By chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and remember every time about the Lord, about Krishna. Remember His names, His pastimes, by thinking about this, and remember about verse that we read today. So that is all for today. Thank you all for watching this video till the end, and we see you on the next time. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.